A long time ago, before this YouTube channel and before my pile of shame was a closet full of boxes, I picked up the very first starter box set for me and my friends to play. It was The Battle of Macragg, an epic story of the Ultramarines' defense of their homeworld from the Great Devourer. The backdrop to this epic campaign book was the First Tyrannic War, where the Imperium was fighting a desperate battle against the Tyranid threat in the Ultima Segmentum. It introduced the background to the mighty Adeptus Astartes warriors and the animalistic Tyranids, and that's what we're going to talk about today in another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. If you're new to the channel, allow me to introduce myself. I am your host Gersh1, your guide to the grim dark lore of Warhammer 40,000. For the entire month of January, I'm going to be covering Space Marines, so if you have any suggestions or questions about the Astartes, please comment down in the comment section below. And if you enjoy our content, rescue the like button from the Tyranid menace. It helps us reach more viewers and makes YouTube suggest more 40k lore content for you. But with all that said, let's get into 40 facts and lore on the first battle for Macragg. As the Ultramarines mustered their fleet in defense of their planet of Macragg, one ship passed through the war zone on business other than battle. The Dauntless-class light cruiser Benedictio, inbound from the planet of Belios 4, the site of a fierce conflict between the Tyranid menace and the Ultramarines' 5th Company. She carried a consignment no less precious than the Space Marines that manned the strike cruiser and the battle barges of the mass fleet, a cargo of gene seed extracted from the Ultramarine brothers who had met their end in battle. This gene seed and its surgical implantation is an essential step in the creation of Space Marines, the final catalyst that activates and moderates their physiological and mental transformation. It is the genetic record of a Space Marine, a biological blueprint that is held in almost holy reverence. Every Space Marine has 2 progenitor glands that constantly replicate their genetic matter, and when a Space Marine falls in battle, this gene seed is harvested by the apothecaries so that it will ensure the creation of the next generation of Space Marines. The Benedictio was carrying enough gene seed to create many more Ultramarines, and in view of the desperate conflict ahead, its value to the chapter in both physical and spiritual terms was immeasurable. But unfortunately, on the voyage back, the Benedictio had met its trouble. Her escorts had been destroyed and obvious battle scars marred its hulls. A garbled Vox transmission came from the stricken vessel. She had been boarded by a Tyranid vanguard force. The fighting was raging within the ship. Before any help could arrive, the Benedictio suffered a series of catastrophic explosions and broke up, its demise inscribing a fiery arc in the upper reaches of Macragg's atmosphere. Even as the wreckage was raining down across hundreds of kilometers of northern tundra, Chapter Master Marnius Calgar ordered the Ultramarine 2nd Company into action. They were to search the area, rescue any still alive, and terminate any Tyranids they found. But their primary objective was the retrieval of the gene seed. The adamantium canister protecting it should have survived the impact and had to be found and secured at any cost. The future of the chapter was at stake, and the warriors of the 2nd Company meditated upon this as they completed their last-minute maintenance prayers and battle hymns en route to the crash site. What was to follow would be the opening skirmish of the Battle of Macragg, the fiercest conflict of the First Tyrannic War. Back at the crash site, Lieutenant Varus dragged himself from the shattered cockpit of the Dauntless and peered across the flaming wreckage strewed across the scarred landscape. He was alive. The precious adamantium canister of the Ultramarines' gene seed had survived impact, and that was all that mattered. His training told him to seek higher ground, find a vantage point from which to broadcast the Vox signal, and call for help. As he dropped to the ground, he realized he was not alone. Sighting hideous alien creatures, little more than bulbous sacks of ichor, trailing sickly tendrils behind them, drifting over the remains of the landers. With horror, he realized they were hunting him. Varus was armed with a bolt pistol, a one-handed version of the mighty bolter. He couldn't afford to carry the traditional two-handed Astartes weapon, even though it was much stronger, not only because the recoil was too dangerous for him to control, but clenched in the other hand was the adamantium gene seed canister, the most vital piece of war gear. As Varus made his way across the crash site, he recognized these Tyranid bioforms stalking him as spore mines, floating bioorganic bombs filled with poison, acid, or explosive enzymes. He knew that if these creatures' sensory tendrils made contact with him, the bulging sac would explode, spraying out one of its deadly contents. He committed his first mistake by miscalculating the explosive range of these creatures. As he shot the first one and a massive poison cloud nearly got him. Now alerted to his location by the gunshot, the rest of the spore mine swarmed him, but luckily he got away fast enough to see a massive, fiery streak descending from the heavens. It was an Ultramarine drop pod, in other words, his salvation. Brother Sergeant Octavian of the Ultramarine 2nd Company stepped forth from the dirt cloud billowing up from the drop zone. He quickly surveyed his surroundings. His squad had been entrusted with the mission of recovering the stranded pilot, and he knew that he had to act swiftly and decisively, drawing as few additional enemies to the area as possible. His auspex displayed Varus's location, and while both the pilot and the gene seed were safe for the moment, he knew that the Space Marines had to reach them soon. Only by purging the Xeno creatures that threatened this mission would they be able to ensure the chapter's continued survival. The Emperor would protect them and guide them. They could not fail. Like true angels of death, the Space Marine squad eliminated the remaining spore mines with ease and rescued Varus from a poisonous death. The Gene Seed and Varus were now under the protection of Sergeant Octavian, but it seemed that the fates were conspiring against them. The Sergeant's auspex indicated that the lander fusion core was going to overload, and if he couldn't disarm it quickly enough, they and their invaluable cargo would be destroyed in the blast. Gathering clouds of dust on the horizon also told him that quicker, deadlier Tyranid organisms now knew they were there. "Brother Septimus, erect the power fields," growled Octavians. "Here is where we stand and fight." As the Magna power field projectors activated and the short but powerful force field came online, the Space Marines could see the charging bioforms known as Gene Stealers. These creatures were known for being ferociously dangerous in close combat, with lightning-fast reflexes and lethal rending claws. It was up to the Astartes to protect Varus as best they could from these creatures until he could disarm the fusion core. As the fighting intensified, Octavian glanced towards Varus. He now had the fusion core. Against such odds, there was only one course of action, a fighting withdrawal towards clearer ground. They could fall back, shielding Varus and raining fire and fury down upon the Xenos. They were the Emperor's finest, and they knew no fear. "Squad Octavian, fall back now. Kill the aliens, kill them all," he said. Furious bursts of bolter fire ripped across the wreckage-covered landscape as Squad Octavian fought desperately to halt the endless tide of Gene Stealers swarming from every direction. A Vox message, almost drowned out by the gunfire and the shrill cries of dying Xenos, cracked across the VoxNet.
"This is Brother Artius. Hold your position. We can move in to help, but we've encountered an additional threat. There seems to be a hive node nearby, an abominable orifice spewing forth more of these Xenos, spitting them from the earth like some foul infestation. We have damaged it, but not enough to destroy it."
The sergeant peered across the wreckage and picked out the hive node beyond, a withering, fanged maw that disgorged more termagants and Gene Stealers, each immediately scuttling to join the battle. Artius was correct. Before clearing the area, this threat had to be wiped out. Using the power core of the crashed ship, the sergeant charged towards the hordes of Gene Stealers and planted the unstable device inside the hive node. As the Space Marine squad fought a terribly deadly retreat, the core detonated underground, utterly destroying the entire hive node and all of the Tyranids inside. It was a small victory in the grand battle for Macragg. And that's the first major battle for the Battle of Macragg. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This does come from that book that I showed you in the beginning. The Battle of Macragg was a box set that came with Tyranids and Space Marines. Me and the Sound Alchemist, I think we either split the box or I bought the box, but it was meant for me and him to play. And I don't ever think that no, actually we did split the box, now that I remember. We did split the box because he took some Tyranids and then I took some Tyranids and Space Marines and stuff like that. But we actually never played the rules or by the rules back then. It was kind of one-sided if you kind of look at it. Like, it says that there's swarms of Gene Stealers. They weren't. It was like 3 Gene Stealers versus a squad of 5 Space Marines. Obviously, like the Tyranids were supposed to lose. But yeah, it was fun to reminisce and read through that book again. Just remember the good old days when I think it was like $80 for that box set. Now most box sets are like $200, which is crazy. But yeah. If you guys have more suggestions for me to talk about, please let me know what they are in the comment section below. We're covering Space Marines this entire month, so I need your help with ideas. And then for the first 2 days that this video is up, I'm going to be in the comment section answering the questions that you guys have for me, or just, talking to you guys. So yeah, can't wait to talk in the comment section. I'll see you tomorrow. This is Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
Oh, with you to put my freedom